Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cricket and the King podcast, the podcast where Jesus is the answer to everything, and we are constantly expanding on that one point. I'm your host Ben, and here is my co-host Katie.
Hello.
And today we are going to be talking about virtue. Virtue. What is it? How do we apply it to our lives? Can one live a virtuous life? What does it mean to live with virtue? And you know, how do we actually walk it out? So, virtue. First of all, we should probably define virtue. What is virtue defined as? Is this like a thing we need to Google?
I feel like it would help to have like an actual Google definition.
An actual Google definition of virtue.
Yeah, pull it up.
All right, entertain us with something, Katie.
I don't think I can do that.
You can't sing us a song or anything?
No. You're just gonna have to go a little faster.
Virtue meaning. All right, let's do this. Virtue is behavior showing high moral standards. I feel like that's a very interesting definition.
Yeah, it is. Behavior.
Behavior. So the thing we were talking about is that people judge others based on their actions, whilst they judge themselves based on their intentions. Correct?
Yeah, which is probably fair to say because actions are what you see. Like somebody's behavior or their actions is what you see. You don't see their internal dialogue of, oh, I meant to do that, or you don't see that in another person, but you see that in yourself because you live with it and you know what you were intending to do or intending to say, but you don't have that same privilege when it comes to somebody else.
Yeah, you're only seeing the sum of how they act in the world. You're not seeing what they thought. And I find that interesting mostly because I catch myself living by my own intentions.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I give gifts or whatever. Well, we're going to say this because Christmas just came and went.
Yeah.
It's like, I give gifts. And then it's like, did you buy a gift for anybody? No.
You bought a gift for me.
I did.
And our kids.
Yeah, okay. Like I bought some gifts, but it was just that my intention was to be generous and buy gifts, but my actions dictated that I was not.
You're also just not a big gift giver.
Not really.
That's not your love language per se.
Well,
You're
it's
big
not
on
even about
quality
it.
time.
It's not even about it being a love language. It's like I don't necessarily like it when people give me things unless it's something I specifically want. So I'm like,
yeah, but
what?
that is somebody's love language, and
Well,
it comes
maybe.
naturally to them because they like it. They enjoy giving and receiving.
But it's okay. Like I would give like consumable things, like chocolate or candy, something that doesn't take up space in your house.
But you don't.
But if
because
somebody
you're not a gift giver.
Okay, I feel called out. So anyway, but that is something that I caught in myself, to bring it back to the virtue.
Okay.
That's something I caught in myself when I was going through this holiday season.
Okay.
And I think there's people out there that want an opportunity to show virtue,
Okay.
not realizing that real virtue comes out through your actions in the world. And that doesn't just mean big things. It's not just like running into gunfire to save the child, or like running into the burning house to save the puppy. It's like virtue is shown in the little moments, and how you, because most of our lives are just a series of little moments. Like very few of us experience these grandiose opportunities to dive into some great moral act.
Yeah, and I would say that there are so many stories, especially recently, that I've been hearing of maybe somebody got stabbed in Vancouver outside of a Starbucks and nobody does a thing. And it's like, I think it's just the shock of seeing something so outside of your normal that you just don't know how to respond.
Yeah.
That's just not like in your heart to respond. And it's just, if you're on your way to work or whatever, and that's not something you're thinking about, and you see something and you're like, oh, that's not happening, or they're okay, or maybe somebody else already called an ambulance.
I think the somebody else thing,
the
bystander effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you think that somebody else will do something.
And there's the shock too of something grand happening. So although people like to think like, oh, how would I respond in a moment of crisis? But if that's not your character, or if that's not in line with your behavior, where you are putting people first,
You're
where
talking
you
about
are,
the little things, right?
yeah, where you're doing that in the little things, like if that's not your normal, not that chaos and like grandiose events are your normal, but if
People getting stabbed at
no, but like
Starbucks is the norm.
prioritizing other people and genuinely having a servant heart and all these things, where that might be in your posture to do, and you're walking around already with like the eyes to see, and you're genuinely caring for other people. If that's not your normal, and if that's not your behavior, then the chances of you actually jumping at something like that, I think, are pretty slim.
Yeah, like the way you care for your spouse basically unfolds on how you care for or it doesn't unfold on, but it is the formula essentially for how you will treat other people. Like your mindset in that, obviously it's a little bit different because there's way more interpersonal dynamics going on than there is with a stranger on the street.
Yep.
But if you are short with your spouse and they irritate you and you don't want to take the time to listen to them, or you're in a hurry to get out the door or whatever, are you going to be having the time to stop and help that person that cut their leg open by accident on a, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like some circumstance you come across, or like it's just my creative juice isn't flowing. I wish I could have come up with something more creative, like somebody that just got attacked by an ostrich or whatever. But if somebody is genuinely suffering, and you, with the person you are supposed to love and care for the most, can't take the time to hear or help, are you really going to do that with a stranger with whom you have no affiliation or love for? I don't think that's the case. I think that unless you are doing the small things in your life that are virtuous, right? And virtue being, moral uprightness, and we're not moral relativists, right? We're objective moral believers. So we believe in Christian Judeo morals, right? So like if we are going to have behaviors in line with the greater stream of our morality in little things, that's going to look like us, taking the time patiently. It's in the Bible. It's the fruit of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That's been coming up a lot for me lately. But those things, if those things are evidenced in the little moments, moments with your kids, moments with your friends, moments with your spouse, your coworkers, then it will be, like you said, that eyes to see. If your eyes are open and you see people, you are able to see need. I think it is that if we have that inward focus, I think even virtue can become selfish sometimes. You're like, I want to prove that I am a good person.
Well, and I think we've already said this on another podcast, but I think you see trends of that as well with people that post videos of them doing good things, and they could say this is to inspire, this is to, maybe start a trend of other people doing that. But I think sometimes the fruit of it is recognition. Like they, maybe, and, I don't know everybody's heart, but sometimes you do get like that sort vibe. Of a cringy feeling from some of those videos where they want a reaction. They want to give somebody money and have them break down in tears because they needed it, like they want that response. And it's different from just like giving somebody something, and maybe there isn't a need, and maybe they're like, oh, thanks, man. But it's different than giving money to like a homeless person or like a single mom, and like they just really, really needed it, and like that $20 made a huge difference, and there's like this emotional response, and I think sometimes people look for that.
Like they're looking to be the savior.
And so like sometimes I don't think virtue. I think it could be with selfish ambition. And I was thinking too, like what are the number one commands in the Bible? It's to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And so it's like, if you are in line with that, and if you are allowing God to change your heart and to change your mind and to change your actions, and then it also says to do all things to the glory of God. So if you are living with that lens of, this is my command, is to love the Lord my God and to do all things to the glory of him. And it's also to love my neighbor as myself, you know? If you're walking around with that lens and with that purpose, and with that commission, if you're walking around with that and knowing that we are to do all things to the glory of God, then that, like, out of that place, I think those little things become natural, and that's where those things flow from, is those things.
Yeah, virtue is a posture of love.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth mentioning too that Jesus says, don't let your virtue be seen by others. When you give, don't let your left hand see what your right hand's doing. Or in my case, my right hand see what my left hand's doing, because I'm left-handed. But Jesus is very explicit about, even, when you pray. So even when you're trying to do spiritual acts of kindness, which praying is spiritual, I would say. I think that's fair to say. When you're praying, you go in your closet, lock the door, pray to your Father in heaven, and he'll see what you're doing and he'll reward you, versus in the streets, or we don't have a culture where people pray in the public square, but even you can think in big church settings when people are up there being like, oh God,
Yeah.
So no, I shouldn't rip on it too hard, because
there's a place for that.
No, there's a place for public prayer for sure, but you know what I mean, the long, like embellished.
Yeah.
Also, total side quip, but the amount people say God as in prayers, fantastic. If you're it's not fantastic. It's just, if you start paying attention to it, it's very noticeable in most of Western Christian culture. That's a total
like
offset.
Using God as like a filler word.
Yeah, God is a filler
like
word.
Instead of
instead of going they'll say, and God, I feel
like I've done that.
I've done it too. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I just want to say it. I just want to say it out loud because I think it's funny. Okay, back to virtue. Anyway, if you do have the little the posture that brings in the little things, that's where the big things will flow out of. Not that I don't think somebody could be living a completely selfish life and then have this moment of, I'm gonna run into the burning building and save the children. I think that is possible,
but it's probably rare.
But I think it is rare, because like you said, if you don't have it kind of built up to do the little things, that bystander effect or apathy even bleeds in and keeps you from taking action. I think. I could be wrong, but
yeah, well, and oftentimes moments of crisis can be inconvenient.
I think they are. I think almost because there's never a time where you're like, oh, I was scheduled to view this massive car crash at 11:30. Like,
and you're on your way to work, but there's like a genuine need and it's like you were like, maybe you're the first responder in that situation, but it's like, oh, like I'm running late, and I just think that we have too many stories of these instances where nobody does anything.
Well, my friend Ryan was telling me a story the other day of somebody, his friend who runs, we're all just electricians. He's an electrician too. He runs a company, and his truck got T-boned and it ejected him from the vehicle. Like, it was crazy. The lady was going 80 and he was at a dead stop.
Whoa.
Or sorry, he wasn't at a dead stop, but she was going 80 and she ran a red light. So just straight T-bone, like destroyed. And she fled the scene. And somebody filmed it on Snapchat.
Of course.
And then just
one does.
like you do.
I can't even imagine that.
Like,
I can't imagine just be like, well, this is a good video,
Yeah, well, no, she was clearly Snapchatting before, and then when she saw it was going to happen, she turned the camera.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, she was Snapchat. Maybe she didn't send it in because she thought she was going to get in trouble because like you
Okay.
shouldn't Snapchat while you're driving.
Or maybe like the first
Public
part of
service
her-
announcement, folks. Don't Snapchat and drive. Just as a rule. Anyway, sorry. So
She has like actually like good information to share. It's just like I was driving.
yeah, anyway, to end this
Anyway.
to make a long story longer, she sent it to her boyfriend, and he fortunately recorded it because Snapchat's auto delete, I think.
Okay.
And he auto recorded it, and then when they put out an announcement on Facebook to try to see if there was any witnesses or anyone willing to come forward, because the lady that fled the scene was claiming that the light was green and stuff.
Oh.
So it's like a him versus her thing.
Yikes.
This guy came forward with the video.
Okay.
In that moment, in that moment, you're so ashamed. You're like, if you burp on this podcast, I will make you delete it and start again. That's how serious she takes burping, folks.
Even when you burp on the phone, I'm like, that's just rude.
I don't know. I think I've been in the
You're like
trades.
eating on the phone.
Oh, I know.
Anyway.
I've been in the trade so long. Even hucking loogies, I realized this. I just casually
Do it around everyone.
I do it around everyone, and I don't even think of it as gross. I need something's broken in me. My virtue. I need to
that's
have
the virtue
virtue.
thing,
That's the
yeah.
virtue missing.
Who
I
are
need-
you in all moments?
Yeah.
What is your behavior?
Will you
Ben?
huck loogies in front of honored guests? I will. So I need to work on it. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, this is a sit down New Year, new me. I
New
will
year,
not
new me.
huck loogies in the new
Okay,
year.
to bring it back to the story about the brutal car crash. The brutal car crash, nobody came to help. Nobody got out of their cars. And nobody stepped forward as a witness right away in that moment.
Wow.
Everybody was too rushed.
Yeah.
Right? And if it wasn't for this lady's boyfriend's Snapchat save, he would have just been totally out. Like, he had just gotten a big electrical job. He was headed to work to that job. It was like a many thousands of dollars job, and he was
Okay.
going to provide for his family for a long time, right? And then like he gets ejected, his whole left side is destroyed,
Oh no.
driver's side, right? And so like legs, arms, neck, collarbone. I think his collarbone is like really bad.
Yikes.
And yeah, I can't imagine that would happen and no one would step forward. But we see it all the time. I had a friend that told me, and hopefully I can kind of blast him for this story. I won't say names. But he saw this person slide off the highway in their car, rolled multiple times, and he was like, somebody else look at it. And he
Oh
just
no.
kept driving.
Oh.
And I heard the story. I was like, dude, he's like, well, somebody behind, or I think somebody behind him pulled over.
Okay.
And there was already a couple of cars pulled over.
Okay.
So he was the first to
He's just
witness
like,
it.
He's like, not my pig, not my farm. Keep going.
Yeah, keep, like, somebody, and fortunately somebody else did deal with it.
Okay.
But what if it had
What
just
if?
been
Yeah.
him?
And-
Or what if it had been somebody who didn't speak English driving the next 10 cars or something?
yeah.
Like, this person's just sitting upside down in a smoking vehicle
Mm-hmm.
with no help. And I've had that happen to me, actually.
Mm-hmm.
My truck rolled. I think I've told this story on the podcast, but
Yeah.
my truck rolled. I had to kick out the windshield, like drop onto my face into the broken glass of my windshield,
Mm-hmm.
and then crawl out of my truck and flag someone down.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I've had that happen to me too. Not driving, but I've like somebody tried to rip me out of a passenger.
Oh, that druggy.
seat.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is a wild story.
It's a
so
wild story.
I
I'm
want
not-
you
I'm
to.
not- No, I'm not gonna get into the whole thing.
Can you please though? It's
Really?
it's worth
the
it.
whole thing.
Not the whole thing,
Okay. Well,
but the brief like.
the summary is that I was 19 years old. I think. Yeah, 19 years old with my friend. We're on our way to a Booster Juice in the car. I just got back from the gym, and we passed someone. Okay, not we like pass them and cut them off, but there's like 2 lanes and we're driving beside them and we just go a little faster. Okay. And this guy like speeds up, and so we're like, that's weird. And so she like goes a little faster, and he's mad at this point. Okay, he's in the right hand lane, we're in the left hand lane, And then it turns into a full-blown chase. And he's chasing us through neighborhoods. And like at first we thought it was funny. We thought maybe he was like flirting or something, but he's mad.
Ooh.
And he's honking, and we did not, I repeat, we did not cut him off. We are in the left-hand lane. And he chases us through neighborhoods and stuff in like residential areas. And we eventually thought we lost him, and we pulled in front of a Tim Hortons. He parked at the Home Depot across from the Tim Hortons, left his car, ran across, opened the passenger door where I was sitting, and tries to rip me out. Tries to rip me out of the car, and he's I don't even know what he's saying because I was screaming so loud and flailing and trying to get him off because he was like trying to get my seatbelt.
And your seatbelt was
my seatbelt was on, thankfully, because like if it wasn't, he would have been able. He was like 35, okay, and I'm like 19.
35-year-old crackhead just going after it.
Yeah, and like he's trying to pull me out, and I'm keeping him from getting my seatbelt, and so I'm flailing and punching, and I have no idea. And my friend's just sitting there like just totally afraid. Yeah,
her fear response. There's
shuts down.
Not just fight or flight. There's also freeze. Freeze
and
is a spirit.
That would be me if I wasn't. If I was in her seat, I totally would have frozen. Yeah. But yeah, like this was happening, and it's like it was super light outside. It's like springtime or almost summer. It's like 8 p.m., but it's still super bright. We're sitting right in front of the windows for Tim Hortons. And there's people sitting in booths, and they're just watching.
Yeah, nobody came out to help.
Nobody came out. They're not like, oh, this adult man is
trying
assaulting
to
a 19-year-old.
So crazy.
Nobody came out.
Which is just really wild.
And like
and the guy did look scary. You know, face tattoos, bald.
And nobody said anything. And then like 5 minutes later, it just so happened to be like an ex-boyfriend I had who was like, hey, you okay? And I'm like, no. He's like, oh, all right, and like left.
Gosh.
Super weird. Anyway, so that happened, and I tried to make a file with the police, tried to describe what he looked like.
And the police almost laughed at you when you said it was a bald guy with teardrop tattoos and full sleeves.
A full sleeve on the left side. They're like, oh, sweetie, that describes
that's
so many
everyone.
people. And I'm like, we live in a small town. Like, do that many people?
Generic.
But there would have been video surveillance. There would have been so much to go off of. But nobody was willing to help.
General complete apathy.
Yeah, and it was wild to experience that for such a young, like 19, being fairly young, to experience such a lack of safety in my community. To be like, nobody came to help. There was no good Samaritan. There was nobody willing, and you kind of just, you live in this safety bubble in a community typically where you're just like, oh yeah, if I'm ever in trouble, like that, like dad over there will help me, or maybe there's like an undercover cop and he'll come to my rescue, or you just don't know. But to experience like just feeling so isolated like that, and to be like, nobody actually came to my rescue, nobody actually came to ask me, I mean, other than that one guy 5 minutes later, but like nobody actually came to check on me, and that was such a unnerving feeling. Like I don't know how else to describe it other than just feeling that unnerving and that distrust. Yeah.
Distrust of society. And I remember that from the car crash too. But I was even thinking, I was in a thrift store getting a air hockey table for my youth center the other day.
All right.
And there was several, large able-bodied dudes around.
Okay.
And I was trying to lift this thing into my truck. And it weighed like 100. It wasn't heavy. It was just awkward.
Okay.
So it weighed like probably around 100 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And my wingspan, like my arms end to end, weren't long enough to reach around the whole deal and like get it in my truck and keep it at the angle it needed to be.
Yeah.
And so like all these guys are walking past and nobody offered to help. And I don't know. It was odd to me because in Alberta, especially, usually that helping hand is available and people will offer to help. But instead, I found a guy. I just grabbed him. I'm like, "You look like a big, strong guy. Help me do this." He's like, "Okay," like kind of reluctantly.
Oh, you called me a big, strong guy.
Yeah. Compliment sandwich, folks. You give them a compliment.
Yeah. When in doubt.
you ask them to do what you want, and you give them another compliment. Anyway, actually, the compliment sandwich is usually when you say negative things like, your hair looks great today, you're fired, and all. I'm just kidding. No. But I think I think we are losing, because we're losing the little things in society, we're losing the big things.
Yeah.
And these big, when people want to show how virtuous they are, or they've built up this grandiosity in their mind, they don't realize that people see them as a jerk because they treat their kids with no patience. You know, like they're short with their kids, and they might be like, "Oh no, I'm a super good guy. I'd give the shirt off my back," but you know, they're screaming at their 3-year-old because they can't put on their shoes right or whatever. And you're like, man, those little things will build up into you having no awareness or care when the time comes to take action.
Yeah, and I don't know, so it's a quote somewhere, so you'll have to help me out here.
Okay.
But it's like the most profound ministry you could have is to love your family.
Yeah, that's a missionary somewhere in Mongolia.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all I know about that quote.
Okay, but I was like, Mother Teresa, I don't know. But anyway.
She was childless.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. She was a nun, so
sweet.
They don't marry.
But yeah.
Married to Jesus. Sorry.
Anyway. But yeah, it's like, because those are the small things every day. Yeah. You know, that's the mundane, but that's your character over time.
Yep. It's true. Yeah, and in summary, I think we could say that the whole reason we did this podcast is because we wanted to talk about how virtue is the little things over time.
And you didn't buy anyone a Christmas gift.
And you wanted to
and you needed to get this off your chest.
I needed to confess to God and everybody that I am a bad gift giver.
This podcast is more for you than it is for anything else.
Yeah, this is a healing time for me.
Good, I'm glad we can talk about this.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll have you know though, as we were cleaning out the closet, I found 2 gifts that I didn't give that I did buy. I planned ahead, but my actions. You're gonna say my intentions were to give the gift. My actions were that I didn't.
No, I was gonna say that I'm pretty sure you've done this every year.
You're right. I did it with
something that's like on the top shelf of our closet that you maybe bought in advance. And you're like, oh, that'd be good, and then it just we find it around Easter time when we're hiding like like the Easter stuff, all the chocolate, and you're like, oh yeah, that thing.
It's true.
And it becomes a random gift.
It does. It becomes a very spontaneous.
You're like, here, have some Easter chocolate and a pocket knife.
Yeah. It's the middle of April. Have you considered getting a headlamp? Yeah. So anyway, thank you for listening, everyone who has made it up until this point. Yeah, I hope this was helpful. If it was, leave us a like, maybe a comment, maybe a subscribe to our podcast. We are on all podcast platforms except for Apple, because I cannot figure out how to get it through. I accidentally created a half user ID, and it's been a whole thing. Anyway,
so we're not on there. Sorry
team. It's gotta be Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any of the other weird ones that I have submitted to.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks again for listening. Oh, if you would like to email us, you can email us at thecricketandtheking@gmail.com. Cricket is spelt with a K, Kricket. The Cricket and the King. Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say, Katie?
Nope, that's all for now.
That's all for now. I thought you would have a profound closing statement for us.
Nope, you're on your own.
The profound statement is, in the words of a unknown Christian rapper called Peabod, Jesus loves you, hallelujah, he will never leave us. Have a great day, folks.